Hey guys, welcome back to another 70s series of the week. It's been a couple, 3 weeks since I've been able to make a video. Started a new job recently, and I'm working second shift, so I'm trying to get used to the hours and trying to use my time, that'll benefit me the best. Uh, anyway, this is a series that I know a lot of you guys are SHAZAM fans. I know Rob, the great legend, is a big SHAZAM guy. And this was one that was always near and dear to my heart as a kid. Of course, everybody knows the story about SHAZAM, aka Captain Marvel. Back in the 40s and 50s, DC actually shut down the publication of the Captain Marvel comics and Marvel family and all that because, the fact that it looked to be too close to Superman. So they had to cease publication. Now, years later, DC got the rights to all the Fawcett characters, and so they thought they'd do a revival. And I think this was like one of the first times that collectors ever really did like any speculating, like on a new #1 issue coming out. And I don't know how much money was made on all that because up until recently, this whole series, you could probably find them in bargain bins and dollar boxes and all that. But, with the news of, a Shazam movie coming out maybe in a couple of years and The Rock is going to play Black Adam and all that, they've kind of been gaining a little steam. Of course, the name Shazam was laying around and Marvel got the use of that to use for the Marvel character. So they really couldn't call a book Captain Marvel. But you'll notice underneath Shazam, the little subtitle says the original Captain Marvel. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But anyway, fun little series. I mean, it wasn't meant to take itself too seriously. Like I say, I had a lot of awesome memories of reading this when I was a kid. One of my favorite top 5 books of all time is in this run. But anyway, the first issue is just like a retelling of the origin, and Captain Marvel has been like missing for 20 years. Of course, you got Superman introducing him, and as far as like the artists and it's pretty much the same guys, doing a lot of this stuff. The original artist C.C. Beck, they brought him back to do a lot of the art chores. The writers, you had Denny O'Neil doing a lot of it, E. Nelson Bridwell, Elliot Maggin, Otto Binder, Joe Millard, and William Woolfolk, whoever that guy was. And the artists, like I said, most of it was by C.C. Beck. Nick Cardy did a little bit on the covers, Murphy Anderson, Pete Costanza, Kurt Schaffenberger. And you got some nice reprints in there by Mac Rayboy, and you got some work by Dave Cockrum and Bob Ostner. Of course, Vince Coletta did some later inking stuff. Pat Broderick, Tex Blaisdell, George Papp, Tenny Henson, Bob Smith, Alan Weiss, Joe Rubenstein, and Don Newton actually got to do a little bit. But for the most part, the early stuff was all C.C. Beck. There's not a whole lot of continuity going on in this series, which was kind of, even though I loved, being able to say, okay, this character started in this book and refer back to Batman 2, whatever. I kind of like this because they were kind of one and done stories. You didn't have any continued stories or anything. But anyway, here's #1. Now, probably a lot of these I do need to upgrade. And I've got duplicates of most of these, but these are probably the best copies I have. Here's #1. Like I say, you got a C.C. Beck cover, and the Superman figure is actually Nick Cardy, but Murphy Anderson, if you take a close look, did the inks on the face. So you have issue #1 there. There's issue #2. No, wait a minute. I have mixed it all up. Sorry, guys. I've got them backwards. Okay, let's try to rectify that real quick. Okay. This is what happens when you think you're ready and you're not. So, Apologize, guys, I'm getting there. Alright, let's try this again. Alright. Issue number 2. We got some photos on the cover, and I think most of the time when DC did the photo stuff, it was done by their production manager, Jack Adler. More of the same, nothing to note on that one. Except this one had a a villain. I never will forget the name. It had a villain in it called Shag Nasty. So I always get a kick out of that. Actually, that's number 3 that had Shag Nasty in it. Well, I'm all over the place, guys. Been a while since I did a video. But I really like this cover. It's got a nice dark background. C.C. Beck's art was really clean and simple. You got Murray Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. Okay, you have issue 4. More of the same, nothing to note. Just a lot of good fun. And my favorite SHAZAM comic of all time, and probably one of my top 5 because I got this in a 3-pack with Superboy and the Legion 197 and Batman 251. 3 comics for 59 cents. This is my original. I probably got 3 or 4 copies of this. This one's got a little chip at the top. I couldn't find my best copy, but anyway, this is a cool little book, and this has actually got an appearance. They snuck in an appearance of Archie and Edith Bunker from All in the Family in one of these stories, so it's kind of funny. There you got another photo cover, number 6. And around this time, DC had a feature that they would run every so often called Behind the Scenes at DC Comic World, and it would kind of tell you some upcoming stuff. I think it was kind of a precursor to Amazing World of DC Comics. But anyway, just like I say, some fun stuff. We got the little infinity cover going on there. There's number 7. More of the same. Mr. Takitani, the Talking Tiger. Another favorite one, for obvious reasons. Everybody knows I love the 100-pagers. All these are reprints. But you got some Mac Rayboy, or Raboy, however you pronounce his name, on Captain Marvel Jr. It's got a reprint. The first appearance of Takitani, the Talking Tiger. And you get to see the Lieutenants Marvel. Hill Marvel, Fat Marvel, and Tall Marvel. The Lieutenants. But a really cool book. I think this was kind of starting to go up in price. Okay, number 9. More of the same, except in this one you have a Captain Marvel Jr. story with art by Dave Cockrum. And I think before he got pissed at DC and left, Cockrum was wanting to do a continuing feature on Captain Marvel Jr. I really would have liked to have seen that. Okay, there's number 10. And I think this is actually the last comic book story that C.C. Beck ever drew was in this issue. And I think you probably start some art by Bob Oskner, who did a lot of the Superman titles and Superman Family, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen, that type stuff. I think all the covers from here on out for a while are Bob Oskner. So there's number 10. Might have to do this in 2 parts. Another cover I really love, number 11. And several of these issues, you have some new stories mixed in with some reprints. Another 100-pager. This begins a run of the 100-pagers from number 12, number 17. And I think you got some Dick Giordano art on the Captain Marvel Jr. feature. So, nice looking copy there. Okay, we'll try to go a little bit more in here. Okay. Alright. This is a really cool cover. Almost reminds me of some of Marvel's picture frame covers. It's number 13. I think there's a couple pinups in here by Pat Broderick, like the 7 Deadly Enemies of Man. You know, the ones that Billy Batson sees when he goes down in the subway and first becomes Captain Marvel. Lots of good reprints in this one. Number 14. And this is, I think, the last issue. Yeah, this is the last issue where DC was able to publish the original Captain Marvel because Marvel was throwing litigation at him. So that's the last time you'll see the little subtitle under there. Okay, here's a favorite of mine. This was probably the second SHAZAM comic that I ever bought after I got issue number 5, number 15. You see him going against Mr. Mind and Lex Luthor, which was kind of funny, you know. I think you got some Tex Blaisdell inks in this. And this story kind of reveals that the Marvel family and the rest of the DC universe, like Superman, are on different are in different universes or different Earths. And later on, you find out that they're from Earth S for Earth Shazam. But I really love this story. Very cool stuff. Number 16. For some reason, probably got my favorite stories in this.